Hey everyone, hope you're all having an amazing day. Today, we're diving into a story of betrayal, family, and power, where a son returns home seeking truth, only to discover that the real enemy might be the one sitting closest to him. If that sounds intriguing, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next chapter of this intense journey. Yuri pushed open the door with careful weight, the hinges groaning like an old wound reopening. The smell of wet earth drifted in from the garden, mixing with the faint scent of tea that had long gone cold. His mother sat at the weathered wooden table, shoulders stiff, eyes rimmed red beneath the dim yellow light. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence was thick enough to feel. Yuri finally broke it. "You're still upset because of Tu Tieu's house, aren't you?" His tone trembled, half defiant, half pleading, as though he couldn't decide if he was the rebellious son or the remorseful one. His mother didn't answer right away. She just stared at the small porcelain teacup in front of her, her thumb tracing the rim as if it could tell her what to say. Then slowly, she lifted her head. "I'm not angry," she said softly, but her voice carried something colder. "I just have my own way of handling things." Yuri frowned, stepping closer. "Your own way? What's that supposed to mean?" Her expression didn't waver. "Secretary Hoa. She's been keeping something. A large sum of money from Mr. Tuan and Mrs. Nia. Bribe money. She didn't return it. She's waiting for the right moment to hand it over to the police." For a second, Yuri thought he'd misheard. "What? Hoa? She's involved too?" He looked stunned, his breath catching between disbelief and dawning relief. "So you already know everything? You're preparing to expose them?" His mother nodded once, calmly. "Then, you need my help, right?" Yuri's voice softened, almost hopeful, but she raised her hand before he could step closer. "No, I just need you to focus on your work." The firmness in her tone cut sharper than any slap. The air in the room thickened. Outside, rain began pounding the old tile roof, each drop like a muffled accusation. Yuri stood there, frozen, excluded again, just like before. He had left the company once, chasing ideals, chasing love. And now, when he finally returned to stand by her side, she had already built her own defenses in the shadows, moving pieces without him. His mother's eyes met his again, steady, determined, but heavy with exhaustion. There was something behind them, an invisible burden pressing on her fragile frame. Yuri could see it. He wanted to reach out, to say something that might bridge the growing gulf between them, but the words stayed trapped in his throat. He bowed his head instead. "I'm sorry," he whispered, voice raw, "for being reckless, for not understanding sooner." But she only turned her face away, staring into the dim light, as if she hadn't heard him at all. Yuri straightened up slowly. His shadow stretched across the creaking floorboards, long and distorted. When he finally turned toward the door, the sound of the rain outside seemed louder, seeping through cracks in the old house, the same way mistrust had seeped through their family. As he stepped out, he glanced back once. His mother hadn't moved. She sat there like a figure carved from grief and willpower, alone under the flickering bulb. The rain didn't stop. It followed him all the way to the company. The office was unnaturally quiet. The ceiling fan turned lazily above, slicing through the heavy air in uneven rhythms. Yuri stood in the doorway for a moment, watching Linh through the glass partition. She was sitting at her desk, neatly dressed as always, typing something on her laptop, calm, collected, like nothing had happened. But Yuri could see through it. Every motion, every glance, too rehearsed. He strode forward, each step echoing across the cold floor. Linh looked up, startled by the sharp sound of his shoes. "Ms. Lan's adopted daughter," Yuri began, voice low but edged like a knife. "You came here with a purpose, didn't you?" Linh blinked, confusion flickering in her eyes. "What do you mean?" Uri slammed a folder onto the glass desk. Papers spilled out, contracts, reports, evidence he'd spent nights collecting. "You drugged Tu Tieu so you could search through her files. Then you used what you found to sign a contract behind my back with Uncle Tuan." The last words cracked like thunder. Lin's face drained of color. For a brief moment, panic flashed in her eyes. But just as quickly, she covered it with a faint smirk. "You think I'd do something like that?" she said, forcing a laugh. "You love Tu Tieu too much. It's clouding your judgment. I just do my job." Her hands trembled slightly as she gathered the papers, pretending calm. Uri leaned forward, his voice rising. "Stop pretending. I've seen the logs, the documents. You were there that night." The air in the office tightened, stretching thin like a bowstring about to snap. Then from behind, another voice cut through the tension. "Uri." He froze. His mother was standing at the doorway, her silhouette framed by the hallway light. "Why are you shouting?" she said, stepping in slowly. "Lin has done nothing wrong. She's been working with Uncle Tuan to strengthen our network. You're overreacting." Uri turned toward her, disbelief flooding his face. "Overreacting? Mom, she gave Tu Tieu sleeping pills. She went through confidential files." But his mother was already beside Lin, resting a hand gently on the young woman's shoulder. The gesture was subtle but unmistakable. Protective. "Lin wouldn't do such a thing," she said firmly. "She's loyal. You're the one who's been away too long to see clearly." Uri's chest tightened. The sight of them together, his mother and the woman he suspected, made something inside him twist painfully. "Can't you see what's happening?" he shouted. "You're being manipulated." His mother's expression turned to ice. "Watch your tone," she warned. The ceiling fan hummed above, filling the silence that followed. Lin looked down at her hands, her shoulders trembling faintly, not from guilt, but from something deeper. She whispered, "You're misunderstanding everything." Uri stared at her. For a moment, he saw hesitation in her eyes, maybe even guilt. But then his mother spoke again, breaking the illusion. "Enough. I don't want to hear another word." Uri clenched his fists. The room was spinning, not from anger alone, but from something darker. Betrayal. He'd come to protect his family, to expose the rot inside the company. Yet here he was, painted as the villain, dismissed by the very person he was trying to save. His mother's hand stayed on Lin's shoulder, steady, unwavering, a wall between him and the truth. Uri exhaled sharply, his voice low but burning. "If something happens later, don't say I didn't warn you." The words hung in the air like a curse. He turned, his footsteps echoing down the long corridor. Behind him, Lin's eyes followed, calm on the surface, but in the depths, a shadow stirred. The rain had stopped outside, but the world felt heavier than before. Uri stood by the company gates, staring at the puddles reflecting the cloudy sky. His reflection looked warped, uncertain, like someone who no longer belonged anywhere. Back inside, his mother stood still, fingers gripping the edge of a folder until her knuckles turned white. Her eyes shimmered with something unspoken. She knew deep down that Uri wasn't entirely wrong, but admitting it meant risking everything she'd built. Lin turned toward her, soft voice breaking the quiet. "Madam, I didn't mean for things to go this far." Mother forced a small smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. "You just keep doing your job, Lin." But as Lin bowed her head, her gaze darkened for a fleeting moment, just enough for the light to catch it. A silent understanding settled over the office. The storm outside had passed, but a far more dangerous one had begun within. Night settled over the city like a bruised sky. The company building, once buzzing with life, was now silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights that refused to sleep. Yuri stood by his car in the parking lot, unmoving, hands gripping the steering wheel. His reflection stared back at him through the windshield, jaw tight, eyes hollow. He replayed the scene from earlier over and over in his mind. His mother's cold gaze, Lynn's trembling hands, that suffocating silence when truth collided with denial. He had come to save the company, to defend what his father built. But instead, he was treated as a stranger intruding into his own home. The rain had stopped, but the streets still glistened. He could almost hear his mother's voice echoing in his head. "You just focus on your work." Yuri started the engine, but he didn't drive away. He knew Lynn wasn't finished. Whatever her plan was, it wasn't over. Inside the building, on the top floor, Lynn sat alone in the executive office. The glass walls around her reflected the city lights like shards of broken dreams. She stared at her computer screen, not really seeing the numbers in front of her. Her fingers drummed lightly on the desk, then stilled. She pulled open a drawer and took out a small flash drive, the same one she'd stolen from Tu Tieu's files weeks ago. A small smile flickered on her lips. "You think you're clever, Yuri," she murmured under her breath. "But you're already too late." She plugged the drive into her laptop, encrypted folders appearing one by one. Her eyes moved quickly, confident. Then a soft knock at the door made her freeze. "Who's there?" she called. The door creaked open. It was Mother. Lynn quickly closed the screen, composing herself. "Madam, you should rest. It's late." But Mother didn't answer. She walked slowly into the room, her gaze heavy. "You've been staying late a lot lately," she said quietly. "Working on something important?" Lynn smiled, the picture of composure. "Just trying to keep things stable. Yuri's accusations? They've made the staff nervous." Mother nodded slowly, eyes flicking to the computer screen. "You've done well," she said finally. But her tone carried something faintly unreadable, half approval, half warning. She reached out and gently placed a hand on Lynn's shoulder. "I trust you," she said. "Don't make me regret it." When she left, Lynn exhaled, long, shaky. Her smile faded. "Trust," she whispered. "That's exactly what I need." Meanwhile, Yuri returned home. The house was dark, save for the faint glow of a lamp in the living room. Tu Tieu was asleep on the couch, a blanket loosely covering her. Her face was pale, lips dry, but peaceful now. Yuri sat down beside her, brushing a strand of hair away from her forehead. "Tu Tieu," he murmured. "You don't know what they're planning." He leaned back, exhaustion washing over him. The day's weight pressed into his bones. His mind drifted to the night Lynn had given Tu Tieu that drink, to the quiet way she'd pretended nothing was wrong, and to the moment he realized his mother might be unknowingly protecting the person destroying everything. Yuri's jaw tightened. "I can't let it end like this," he whispered. He stood up, went to his desk, and opened his laptop. Dozens of files filled the screen. Contracts, transaction histories, security footage. He'd spent weeks collecting them, and now they all pointed in the same direction. Lynn, and maybe even Uncle Tuan. Yuri's eyes hardened. "You wanted to play niche warfare?" he said softly. "Then let's play." He began typing an email, addressed to an old friend in the media. If he couldn't make his mother see, he'd make the world see. The next morning, tension hung over the office like fog. Everyone could feel it, the quiet dread before a storm. Yuri arrived early, eyes shadowed but focused. Lynn was already there, speaking to a small group of managers. She turned when she saw him, her expression unreadable. "Working hard?" Yuri said dryly. "Always," Lynn replied, smiling faintly. Unlike some people. He ignored the jab. Where's Mother? In her office, Lin said. She's reviewing contracts with Uncle Tuan. You might want to wait before barging in again. Uri's patience thinned. You don't get to talk about my family. Lin's eyes flickered, but she smiled again, calm, poisonous. You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about family. It's about survival, about who adapts. He stepped closer. You're stealing what isn't yours. And you, she whispered, leaning in, are standing in the way of what's coming. Yuri's pulse quickened. For a moment he saw something unguarded in her eyes. Not fear, but ambition. Before he could answer, the intercom buzzed. Mother's voice came through. Uri, Lin, my office, now. The tension inside Mother's office was suffocating. Documents lay scattered on the table. Mother stood near the window, arms crossed. Uncle Tuan sat opposite, his usual smirk absent, replaced by wary caution. When Uri and Lin entered, she turned to face them both. Enough, Mother said. This has gone too far. Uri stayed silent, waiting. I've reviewed everything, she continued. The contracts, the transactions. There are discrepancies, yes, but not proof. Uri took a step forward. Because she covered them, he said, pointing at Lin. She's been moving money through shadow accounts tied to Uncle Tuan. Lin's composure finally cracked. That's a lie, she snapped. You're just desperate to make me look guilty. Then explain this. Uri pulled out a folder and dropped it onto the table. Inside, copies of transfers, digital signatures, and the night shift logs from when Tu Tieu was drugged. Mother stared at the papers, her hand trembling slightly. Where did you get these? She asked. From the company server, Uri said. And from security footage you told me not to touch. For a long time, the room was silent, except for the faint ticking of the wall clock. Then Mother turned to Lin. Is it true? Lin's lips parted, but no words came. Uri's voice softened, but it cut through the quiet like a blade. You said you trusted her. Look where that trust has brought us. Lin's eyes glistened. You think you're a hero, she said bitterly, but you're just a fool, protecting the wrong woman. She turned toward the door, but Mother's voice stopped her. Lin. Lin froze. I trusted you with everything, Mother said, and you used that trust to destroy us. For the first time, Lin looked afraid, truly afraid. Uri stepped back, letting the truth settle. His mother's face hardened, but behind it was heartbreak. Call the police, she said quietly. Lin's expression shifted, fear into fury. You'll regret this, she hissed, eyes darting between them. Both of you. She stormed out. The door slammed, echoing down the corridor. Uri stood still, heart racing. The storm he'd warned about was finally here. Later that evening, the company was once again silent. Mother sat alone in her office, staring at the skyline. Papers lay scattered on the desk, contracts torn, signatures voided, futures uncertain. Uri entered quietly, standing by the doorway. She's gone, he said. Police took her statement. Uncle Tuan's name is next. Mother nodded, not turning around. You were right, she said. I just didn't want to believe it. He walked closer. I never wanted to fight you, Mom. I just wanted to protect what's left of us. For the first time in weeks, she looked at him. Not with disappointment, not with anger, but with something softer. You remind me of your father, she said quietly. Stubborn, but right. Uri smiled faintly. Guess it runs in the family. Outside, thunder rumbled again in the distance, rolling across the city like a warning. Mother looked back toward the window. Do you think it's over? Uri shook his head slowly. No, he said. Lin won't stop. Not yet. As lightning flared across the horizon, the reflection in the glass caught his face. Calm but resolute. a man standing between what was left of his family and the storm that refused to die. And somewhere in that reflection, faint and fading, was the echo of Lin's promise. You'll regret this. The war inside the family wasn't over. It had just begun. Yuri returns home, determined to expose Lin's scheme to steal the family company. But instead of trust, he's met with his mother's disbelief. She accuses him of abandoning the business for Tu Tieu. Desperate, Yuri apologizes, yet his mother insists she has her own plan. Secretary Hoa holds the bribe money and will hand it to the police. At the company, Yuri confronts Lin with evidence that she drugged Tu Tieu and forged contracts for Uncle Tuan, but his mother protects Lin, deepening the rift. Yuri warns them both. When it all falls apart, don't blame me. As betrayal unfolds and loyalties fracture, Lin's hidden ambition surfaces. She's not done yet. The family's empire stands on the edge, and in Lin's eyes burns a new plan to destroy Yuri and Tu Tieu once and for all.